I can't remember a time that I was not a follower of Christ. I grew up in a very strong Christian home. I grew up in Calvary Baptist Church, so I was very fortunate to have so many people around me who were strong role models for me. My parents, my grandparents, the Smiths, the Haydens, the Davises, the Pummels, the Fernandeses were all so important to me, and I never wanted to disappoint them. When I was growing up, as I was a child, I never wanted to disappoint those people because they were so important to me. So as I get older, I realize that God had put them in my life. And when I was respecting them, I was respecting God. And that's how I grew. I don't have any pivotal point where I had a giant revelation or something like that. It's been a slow journey of mine. As I said, I've grown up in the church, and but now as I'm an adult, I look back and I just realize how important it was to have such good role models in my life. So I hope for the future, as I continue to grow in the church here, that I'm a role model and that I learn to be encouraging to people, and we can all help each other along the way, because it is a journey, and that's what the goal is to be a follower of Christ, and that's my goal.
Hi, I'm Tim Conrad. I've been a member, I shouldn't say member, I've been going to this church for majority of my adult life. I was saved at church camp in 5th grade and then baptized the year following. When we came back to this church, it was like we had just found family again that we hadn't seen in a while, the long-distance cousin. The connection was there. The people are loving. I love the people here. As far as my religious experience, when I started going to one of the small groups, the Bible studies, that was when it kind of clicked for me that, as far as the religious experience, that I felt that I was closer to the Lord and everything. But again, just want to say I love this church and I'm glad I'm going to be part of it.
Well, I grew up in a family. My mom was a Catholic from Cleveland and my dad was a Baptist from West Virginia. So we probably had a good mix there. Basically, I went to church, and it was just like going through the motions for me. I just figured it was the Christian thing I had to do, and something to do on every Sunday, and I knew God, believed in God, but I didn't really know God. My faith grew after I got married and had my 2 sons, and it was important that they went to church and catechism, and I really got to know God when I walked through the doors of Calvary. It was the people. It was just evident that He was here. The people, the way they greeted us, and the warmth and the friendship that it was just unbelievable. So then that's when I really came to an understanding about being a believer from what I experienced here. I acknowledged that God sent His Son Jesus down to earth to die on the cross so that I can be saved from my sins. And after being here and experiencing the love and the strong belief in God, that I've committed to living for God, and I become a doer of His Word and not just a hearer or listener. I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes, but I know God still loves me, and I feel that the people of Calvary, my friends, new friends, but have the same feeling of love towards me too. And I am excited to become a member of this church just based on what I've experienced here.
I came from a large, strong Christian family, and thinking back, my mother was probably the greatest influence in my life then. Her love for God was passionate, still is, and she always made sure that God and church was an important role in our life, and I've tried to carry that on with my family. But it wasn't until I got older, through the help of a friend, that my faith grew. And she bought me a Bible, and at her kitchen table, over coffee and bakery, she was the best baker, she taught me how to really read and understand Scripture. And that's when I really realized how great and loving our Father is, and what sacrifice He made for me, for us. And I'm still growing and learning, and unfortunately I'm a slow learner, so it'll be lifelong. But I'm excited to become a member of a body of believers. And in 1 John 3-8 it reads, "We know that we have come to know Him if we obey His commands. The man who says, 'I know Him,' but does not do what He commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But if anyone obeys His word, God's love is truly made complete in him. This is how we know we are in Him. Whoever claims to live in Him must walk as Jesus did." And that's how I see the people of Calvary. God's love.